I'm doing something a little different tonight. I start in a project, and few months ago, for the first time, I got to order from Vivor. Once again, not being sponsored by them. They definitely didn't give it to me. I did buy it. So, with that being said, it's the first time ever being using it. I can't wait to use it. And what I'm doing is I am making a front push bar slash possible bolt or winch onto it mechanism to my smart stupid car. So let me show you what I'm talking about. In the meantime, let me bring this over and we'll take you to the smart car. Yeah, I think I might have done pictures definitely, but I made my own lift kit for the front and the back, and actually I went to the junkyard and got the front coil over shocks, I guess, front struts, out of a later model or early model, an older Toyota. I think it was a Corolla, something of that nature. The tops of them were pretty much identical to the top mounting of this smart car. The rest of it, I had to do a little fabrication, nothing major, but I definitely made it work. I got the lift that I needed out of it, and I think altogether I have 8 to 9 inch lift on this. I had to make some components. I made steering rods and stuff longer with my machine shop. So, and I also did like a body lift on it, a 3 inch, but I took that off after I went and done what I needed for the front. And as you can tell, the back wheels are sticking out further because I made my own hardware to lift the car to get what I needed at the same time, so that the rear axles, because it's rear wheel drive, wouldn't be in such a bind. I had to make the whole wheel assembly come out so that it had a nice comfortable travel basically between the U-joints, and it worked out well. That side, which should be left side, was tougher than the right side because the transmission is closer to the driver's side. So that's the reason why I got it up as high as it is. I even got the tires 15 inch because these cars came with 15 inch wheels. So it was easy to find 15 inch tires. I have a lower type profile in the front versus to the back. It's a little taller, which was fine. I wasn't looking to spend a lot of money on wheels and tires, so that worked out for the best. So what I'm doing here, these cars have mounting points where they can be towed or pulled from right there on their frame. And I, at an earlier time, because the car was hitting the front a little bit, nothing major, I made my own bracing to put this front piece back together. I since then mounted these lights. I think they came off of a Toyota truck maybe, or a Nissan truck, I don't know. Somebody gave them to me. It's been many, 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 many years. And when I mean many years, at least 20. And I hang on to this stuff because, look, I'm using it. Didn't cost me nothing. This light bulb is out. I will get another one. That one's not out. The high beams work on both of them. But once this thing is made, I'm going to take these and mount them to it. So what I'm doing is, this morning actually, I went and got some hardware from Florida Nut and Bolt. I love that place. Their prices are very reasonable. And, you know, they pretty much have almost everything. A lot of times I deal with Mr. Will, real cool cat. Like him, and their staff is cool. And I've been dealing with them for years. I got to know them from the place I was working at the time. And they introduced me to them to get the hardware I needed to work on road tractors and trailers. So it worked out really well. I have a good relationship with them. But nevertheless, not being sponsored by them, I bought a nice, comfortable amount of stuff, and I always buy extra. I only needed 2 here for the front, and I needed 2 for the back. But I got a couple different sizes, and I bought more than 2 for the front and 2 for the back. This way, just in case, hey, I don't got to run there again, because it's a little bit of a drive, nothing major, but it's well worth it, because if you go to Home Depot, Lowe's, well, Home Depot, forget about it. Lowe's, you'll have a better chance of getting some stuff. Being that this was metric, 50-50 chance, and it's kind of thick, so it's not, the smaller stuff. But if you go to Ace, forget it. You have to remortgage your building in order to buy anything from there. I'm not putting them down, but I remember going there one time to buy a nut, which was actually for my dually. I was building the torsion bars for the rear, and just for the nut, just to make sure I had the right thing, they charged $5 and change. I just bought a nut. That's all I bought. Just a nut. It was so much money. When I went to Florida Nut and Bolt the next day, it was 46 cents for the same exact thing. So, hey. But what I'm doing is I made these spacers here. This is, I don't know what kind of steel piping, but it's got probably a 40 gauge thick wall, which is pretty strong. I got Puss in Boots over here. She's right below me. She's going to basically check over the job. And what I'm going to do here is actually, it's going to end up being like that, and this will get welded to it. I'm going to mill the hole here with that particular machine from Vevor, and then once the hole is in the center, I could have went with either one, but the holes that are punched out were just a little bit too big, and I wasn't comfortable with it. And I feel it'd be better, we'll just put it in the middle. And then this almost about 2 3/4 inch long bolt will go right through there. And once this, I don't have to weld this to this, but I'm going to. And once it goes through, it'll stick out more than comfortable enough to catch this, because that's only so deep. And I think that's probably maybe 5/8. So this will go in there the full 5/8. I'll have the full strength of it. And that'll be that. So I actually put these pieces on the lathe to make them very much the same. I think there's 2 thousandths difference between this one and the other one, so it's okay. It works just fine. So in the meantime, I'm going to go over there and use that machine for the very first time. And I'm pretty much just off the cuff, I could say, for actually designing what I need and want to do when it comes to this. Yeah, Puss in Boots over there. She's getting her drink. But I'm going to be giving this a try for the first time. I got my oil. Yep. I don't want the bit to go bad. It even comes with a container for lubricating to keep it cool. It doesn't come with any liquid, but an assortment of different sized bits, and that's awesome. So let's get started. Let's give it a whirl. Ooh. I put a t-shirt on the floor because I don't want the oil staining my floor. Wow, that worked very nice. I took my time. I did use a similar machine when I was working for that other company, being the mechanic for a shipping company on their road tractors, straight trucks, and trailers. And I had to, they bought a new rig, but we were putting one of the, I think it could have been a reefer box or a dry van box on the back of the new truck that they bought. But their whole frame had to be extended so that we can move the axles back. And when it came to doing that, it's pretty intense. You got to know what you're doing. And I needed to rent one of these, so we rent one of them so I can basically mill all the holes in for the grade A bolts that were used. But this thing worked fantastic. I didn't push it. It was like nothing to do it. I made a little bit of a mess down here. I don't like that idea, but I guess I'm going to have to clean that up. Yep. But now that you see it being done, I'm going to clean this up, and then once I get things moving, I'll chime back in. But stand by. All right, I'm back, and I got the second one done. This time I put a couple of big pieces of cardboard on the floor. I didn't want the oil there. I did clean it up with some brake clean. The other thing is I just swept up the metal burrs from this. I don't want the cat stepping on it, cutting her little paws, and I don't want it on the bottom stuck to my boots, because that ain't good either. So, swept it all up, and I'm taking this apart. Probably going to drop it on the floor. Maybe not. Yep, there it is. Put everything back where it belongs. Yeah. Awesome. So I just turned off the magnet. Yep, now I can slide it back. Safe. And the one thing you got to be careful of before you drill the next hole or mill the next hole is that however thick the metal is, in this case, I think it's 5/16 thick. Actually, it gets thicker than that in this as it gets towards the angle. But as you're doing it, you got to make sure that that inner piece that's up inside the bit is out. And my first one, it didn't come out, but the second one came out automatically. It's kind of really supposed to, but if not, you just get a nail and a hammer, and there's little slots in those bits that you could actually tap it out of there. So just keep an eye on that, and you'll be fine. But this was on sale. I paid $225, maybe just under $230, I believe, something like that. I don't know really what it came out to, but I know it was over 200, and it comes with all this stuff. And you know, for me, I think it's awesome. Yeah, I like it. And the first one, actually, that they shipped to me, the magnet part didn't work. And if the drill worked, but the magnet did it, and you're buying it for that reason. So I'm like, that ain't gonna work. So it's a little bit of a process to get it exchanged, but you do the videos, you have to email it to them, they check it out, and before you know it, you end up with another one, and they did. And that's really all you can ask for, is to stand by your product. I bought other stuff from Vevor. I bought the blower vent type things for the spray booth. They work well, and I think I got, well, sorry about that. The battery went dead. The good thing about this camera is that you're able to plug it in and keep using it. Considering I used it throughout the day yesterday on the Ford truck, and today the same thing, probably should have charged it last night, but I did have enough to do the filming I did on it today, during the day, but I guess not enough time to do the second project on this one. I really think this would be a good video to show somebody something different, like I said, with the smart car and how I made it all work. But like I was saying, you just got to make sure that you get that little metal piece out, the center piece out of that milling bit. And now I got everything all cleaned up. And I should wipe this stuff off. I don't know how well that's going to do when it comes to welding. It's probably going to make a whole lot of popping noise. But I'm going to bring this over there, and I'm going to come back and grab the camera. Show you the pieces and how I plan on putting it. All right. I guess I got to go get the other bolt with the washer. And depending on the way this feels when it goes in there, as far as how much grab, because I could see just how much thread is there. So, and the hole is a real nice fit. You know, so I don't even think I'm going to need a washer on that. It really won't serve much of a purpose other than just spacing it out more. And I'd rather pick up that, which appears to be a full 1/16 of an inch, definitely. So with that being said, and this piece going to go here, and then this here, and that'll get centered like that. Yep. Make sure I got it started good. Yep, there we go. I'm just going to tighten this up. See, and that gives you an idea of what I'm doing. And what the heck, I might as well put the other one in there. But I am going to weld the tubes to the backside of these pieces. I think it would be beneficial. It'll definitely be stronger. Absolutely. See, and I cut a square out because I thought it was going to go with square stock coming out with a plate. And then the bolt going through that. I did start off with a hole first, a keyhole saw, but at the end of it all, I came up with a different idea. Like I said, I've been pretty much, as I'm going along, I'm just winging it. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing. I'm just pretty much winging it at this point. These are pieces that I had. Nice strong angle iron. Like I said, it's like 5/16 of an inch thick. And that's going to work out really well. And that's my starting point right there, the platform. And it gives plenty of clearance as it's sticking out for the plastics here. I don't know what all that silliness is. Maybe I should just try to cut that off. This is the way I got it with that. A little bit of damage in the front. Trying to get this thing to lock in nice. Goes in my handmade holster. Then I got this nice thick wall square stock. I will cut it to size. I haven't figured out the exact length yet. I'm not going to go too far in. I'm going to space it kind of comfortable, maybe just pull it out even here with this front. You know, the more you go in that way, the stronger it will be from, not that it will do anything as far as tipping goes. And I am going to run, because this is pretty solid here, this framing I put in off the lower frame, I will come up with something off of this to make it nice and strong. And most likely I'll be bolting it in just in case I ever have to take this off for whatever reason. And that's the reason why I'm bolting these in. And I think these are a grade 10.5 bolts, which are super duper strong, obviously stronger than grade 8. But once I figure out the length that I want to make this, I want to make sure it at least, you know, covers past the fender on both sides. A little bit maybe protecting of the wheel, not too much. I don't want it to look too gaudy. Yeah, just enough to cover. Yeah, maybe like this. I think that'll work as far as sticking out that way. Yep, and then I'll just mark off what I think I need, and cut that off. And like I said, this is my starting point. I'm not really sure if I'm going to come up and around with something. I do know somewhere in here I'm going to put a sleeve in, because I am going to buy a fair sized winch. I can't imagine this car weighing, I don't know, I think it was 1,900 pounds, something like that. I don't think it, well, now it might be 2,000 pounds because of all the building I did on it and adding that junk up there. I don't know, can you see that up there? My light bar, my flags, and I'm going to put, well, those are actually speakers right through there, and then I'm going to get a nice long light bar for the top as well. But in the meantime, I'm going to have a sleeve here, which will probably be more in this general area so that it's pulling more from the bottom and not from the top, somewhere in the center. It'll give full strength for the whole car to be pulled if it have to, if I got to pull it out. And the same sleeve I put here in the front, I'm going to put in the back. In the back, I'm going to build similar, but the back is going to have that sleeve to serve two purposes. One, for the winch, and two, I'm going to make a rack to come out is to where I can add 2 seats to it. I might use the seats I have up there or the 2 Porsche seats I have up there, but nevertheless, so I'm going to have something back there so I can bring 2 other people, or just put a bench back there and maybe 3 people. This is more of a, you know, an enjoyment, like woods kind of buggy. People use side-by-sides. I didn't want to spend that kind of money. My girl and I didn't want to do that, and everything on this car works. The air conditioning, the heat, you know, windshield wipers. I just have to fix the convertible top. That's why there's a tarp on the top, and I got a little frustrated with it. I got angry with it, and I broke it the rest of the way. It wouldn't close all the way, and the way it was running on the track was just, it was just too much. But it will get fixed, and if not, I'll do what we do for boat tarps type thing. You know, they snap on, and I'll do the same thing to keep it waterproof. But if the air conditioning works, it's a fun vehicle to drive. It's a 3-cylinder. Obviously, it's not like you're going to use a lot of gas, but no one else is using this in the woods kind of thing, not that I know of. I see a lot of the smart car for 2. You know, they're doing 4-inch, 3-inch lifts. The biggest I seen, I think, was 5.5, and I don't even think it's 5.5. I looked into them, and it's really not 5.5 in my opinion. It's just my opinion. And you know, they put different wheels and different tires, and they look really cool, and they little fender flares. But like I said, I got 8 to 9-inch lift on this, and I can make it even higher if I want to put all the other body mounts. I actually, where are they? Here's a couple of them. This was actually, this one. I actually have, this is made of this is some sort of solid plastic that's got some incredible amount of strength. And I have 2 cone lights, and they're actually 3.25-inch domes with the center holes in it. And I have the inner bolt basically that sleeves over, and actually would mount to the same struts that are here on this car, and that would lift it up another 3 inches. And between these pieces that are for the back and the other parts would go up another 3 inches. So if I really wanted to get crazy and I'd have to make the axles longer, I'm not getting into that. This is perfect, because you can get in and out of that car without lifting yourself up or lowering yourself down. It's like perfect height to get in and out of the car. So to me and to my girl, it's the perfect height, and that's just the way it's going to stay. And it's just fun to drive, actually. But just, well, I'm going to come up with some sort of design for this. But in the meantime, I do want to weld those pieces where they need to go. So this is going to get out of the way, just like this. Absolutely. Just like that. And then I could take these out and do it accordingly. So I'm really glad I decided to put new holes in the center of that. I think it works out great. So in the meantime, once I get them all welded up, I'll show you as we're moving along, so stand by. All right, hopefully you can see them mounted. I believe you can. They are welded up. They're warm. Absolutely. Yep. So when I go to bolt them in all the way, I'm going to make sure that square stock is right across the top so that they are perfectly flat and square with each other. And then I'm going to go off of that. But for now, I got this much done. It's getting late. It's good enough for now. So until the next shot on this smart car, stand by. Alrighty, it's a couple days later and I'm back on the smart car. I'm going to show you something I already had. Kind of makes sense to you. This piece right here down, not this square stock, but the angle iron section, along with these pieces, they were welded up there, like so, one on either end. And there was more to it, but I ended up along the way cutting parts off of it. I actually had a winch bolted to that, and the winch operated a plow that I had set up on my, it was a Yamaha tractor. Wasn't a tiny one, wasn't a big one. It was 4-wheel drive. It was an awesome machine, and I used it to plow my driveway in the winter up north. So in my pile of metals that I refused to throw away, it was in there. And I said, ooh, maybe I can make that work on there, because I was trying to figure out what I was going to do for the front of this, because I need to make sure that it is strong enough, and it will be, to mount a hitch sleeve that'll have attached a winch to it. And so that this way I can have it either sleeve it in the front or go around the back and sleeve it in there, because a friend of mine, I'm helping him with his GMC truck. This was on the front of it. This thing right here, not the hook. I might use that. That hook was from my Freightliner, but this is going to go on the back. Let me lean that there. Here's the other piece. Yeah, this goes in here because it's adjustable. Here we go. That piece there, I'm going to mount on the back side of that, so that I could do two things with that. One, sleeve in with the winch that's to be mounted to a plate in the sleeve, so that if I get stuck on a trail, I can pull myself out either way. And I'm going to come off with some sort of rack I'm going to make that'll bolt into here, and then into here, and it goes into the main frame of the car. And then maybe I'll try to pull something from underneath somewhere if I can. I doubt it, but I think the main support will come from here. Or if I even have to pull somewhere off on the top, I'm not sure. I have to investigate that. Do my homework on that tail section there. But this for sure, and that one there for sure, is threaded where they would tow this vehicle from. So that is the game plan for that. That's the reason why I kind of want a pretty strong front end here. And using this, I utilize the metal I have, and I like the way it's going to turn out looking, because I'm going to take some square stock and cut some angles and kind of do it like that, but not the bigger stuff. This is 2 inch, that's 1.5 inches. So I'm going to go in with 1.5 inches because I got plenty of that to use. And I'm also, which I just brought over, these C-channel pieces to where I'm going to want to make it to where I can bolt it into the back of that bar I have back there, because there's holes in there, and I'm going to bolt it. I don't know if I'm going to use these or not, do something with it. I'm not really sure if I can use these pieces, but I need to come off with something to come off the bottom of this and go to the back of that and bolt in. I want to be able to take this off if I have to, So I'm not welding it in permanent, and that's the reason why I've done that and that. In the meantime, I also welded a nut to the frame of the car because the threads on the that were in there for the bolts got a little stripped. So I welded a nut on that, so now she's nice and tight. It's not going to come free, and that will take care of that. So I'm still doing a little figuring. I know somewhere in here I'm going to have to notch this down because I want the sleeve to go in here. This way, once it goes in, if it has to stick past through because it's too long, there'll be plenty of room. And let's see, I have so many of them right there in the pile, and I'll pick one that I don't need or use. And also, I think I have another one somewhere. The heck, doesn't matter, it's not important now. But that's what I'm figuring out right there, right now. I think it's going to work out pretty good. I kind of like the way it looks. Might look hideous to some, but that's okay. But yeah, it's going to work out well. I just have to figure out the plating to be able to wrap around that and bolt on. Even if I have to have a bolt onto here, the bolt to that, so it's separate instead of welding it and hooking it. I don't know. We'll see. I got to figure out something. So that's the scoop for right now. So until I make my next moves, stand by. Okay, I'm back with the smart car, and I'm going to point out a few things. Hopefully you'll be able to see them. Come a little closer. Yep, angle down. I've had this, I bet you 30 years, this setup, and it's been following me ever since. So because I wanted to build this, and this I found in my pile, I figured it was, well, I can use this, and it's probably 3/4 of the way done. And using this, and you know, I have it clamped and I have it to size, and I actually tack welded just on the 4 points to put it there so that I can further mock things up that I'm going to show you and show you just how creative I'm getting with this thing. All right, so I made straps that can unbolt in 2 areas, here and back there, because if it can unbolt from here, I want to be able to remove it. I don't want to weld fix it permanently to this. If I have to remove this, I want to make sure that I could do that easily, and in this case I can. All I got to do is take this bolt off, take that one off, that one, and that one. 4 bolts, and it'll come right off. Put some boots of grease. Here she comes. She wants me to pet her, no doubt. She's going around the backside. She'll come to the left. Yep, that's where she went, to the left. But next, I'm going to take a piece of square stock, thinner than this one, and I'm going to angle it up and go to the bottom of this. Same thing over there. And once I have a lot of this stuff like tacked in place, once I'm done tacking things in place, I will take it off. I'll even have to tack here and over there, make sure it's squared up on the brackets. And once I have everything in place from the left side to the right side, then I will take it off and I will weld it up all nice and pretty like, and bolt it back on there. Well, I'll probably paint it first. Most likely paint it black. Yeah, that'll be a lot better. And that'll be that. And then I'm putting 2 little L brackets off each corner, so I can mount the broken antenna that I actually was able to repair, but it's like a booger repair. It's not something you would put on a vehicle, especially the vehicle it came off of. But I'm going to have it to where, it'll be out here, so it'll have a better indication on the width of the car in the front. And because they are here, might put some boots. I don't know if you can tell, but I took a round tube, like metal tube, and I cut it, and then I squeezed it together, and I welded the other half of it onto it, and then I clamped it to this so that it stays in the upper position, and it still works. But you know, you can't have this junky looking thing on that truck, and you wanted new ones on there or replace it with what's there, and you can't buy these anymore. These are so old, outdated, it's not worth it. So this will go like this off to the side, and then the other one will go to this side. So it'll be an indication as to where the nose of this thing is in the width. So that's my plans with these things here. So let me get started and get moving. So until then, stand by. Alrighty, I'm back. I'm gonna put the gloves on so I can actually handle this without getting burned. But it's done as far as all welded up. And tomorrow I will definitely put some black paint on it. Maybe do a little grinding of some of them weld things, the little dabs of whatever. Make it look a little nicer, cleaner, clean some of the old surface rust off. Yeah, really nice. I think it came out pretty good. Yep. Especially for a smart car. So actually, let me just give you a close-up. And actually, that's the backside right there that it's zoomed in on. Yeah, I just got done welding the brackets on these that get mounted to the car itself. I don't know if you can really see the welds or not, but came out pretty nice. My little tabs there at the end. Yep, I took one of these, which was a C-channel that I used for the trailer that I built, and I just cut it in half, and that worked out well. I use whatever I can find that will work, and sure enough, there it is. Kind of afraid to grab it by bare hand here. Let's see. That part's even warm. Yeah, there it is. And as you saw, this will be the front view on the car. Yeah, I got to get all that surface rust out of there and out of there, clean it up pretty nice. And then I'll take my fancy drill press there, the magnetic one, and I'll put it on there and drill some holes on the either end of that over there. But I think at first, before I do and paint it, I got to take those lights off out of there. Once I take them out, I can see how I can mount them on that. And maybe I might have to put another piece of metal on there because I know I'm going to put them somewhere in this region here and over there to follow. Yep. This way it'll actually be just a little bit higher, and I'll be able to square them up so they're not pointing in the wrong direction. But there it is. So until tomorrow, peace out. All right, I'm back with 98% finished product. I hope the light isn't messing anything up. That's why I don't have the lights on to show you the light sticks, whatever they're called, light up. Because I know if these get turned on, which have to be turned on at the same time, it'll definitely create a blinding part in the camera. So it's all mounted. I'm going to end up now, when I have a minute, take it all apart and paint it and then bolt it back. And I have it wired so that I can unplug it. Knowing that if I ever had to remove it, I wanted to make sure all I had to do was just unplug the wires to the lights and to the antennas. So this way I wouldn't have to cut them and splice them and all that other stuff. And I'll show you the brackets that I made to hold these lights. I think you'll find it pretty neat anyway. And I used scrap material that I have. So I'm going to put the light down and take the camera off the stand and show you. See that rectangle stock? It's actually, it's got a hole in it. You know, It's empty on the inside, but I welded the top to make sure that no water gets in there. And that one the same way. It's welded down at the base. I got room to get at the bolt and nut. And then I made these brackets here so that I could catch that part of that housing. And it worked out pretty well. I like it. It's pretty strong, and it is protected for the most part. And it actually brings it up a little higher than where they were in there, and they're actually squared out to where they light up really nice the way they should. And the little brackets, it's sticking out. I milled the little holes in there, and antennas are mounted. Yeah, it came out pretty nice. I'm satisfied with it, especially for what it is. And then once I get the sleeve, I will cut this part out here so that it goes in there, and I'll weld it in place. But I don't have one, so when I do get it, I'll put it in there, and that'll be fine. And maybe I'll add more lights or something on there. Who knows? If I got them and I already have them and I'm not using them on anything else, I'll put them on there. But maybe that'll be enough for there. And then eventually we'll put a light bar up at the top of there, and then I think that'll be fine. Yeah, I'm liking it. I think we'll have to make a little more clearance though when it comes to the fenders and the tires. I heard one of them rubbing. It's probably the other one when I turn it, because squaring this push bar up pushed the plastic in there at the bottom in some, which was fine. It all works out well. And as you can see, the whole car is moving, not the rack. So I'm really happy with that. I'm glad it's turned out. I'm glad it's 98% done. Just got to paint it. I don't want it to get all rusty. I want it to last. So put you back on the stand. Yeah, absolutely. But that's going to end this video on this, I think it's a 2013 actually smart car. Done a lot of stuff to it. That's for us to enjoy, ride around. Can't wait to actually take it on trails. I think that'll be fun. See how it holds up. And maybe one of these days we'll get the convertible top fixed. I got, like I mentioned maybe once before, I got over anxious and a little annoyed and aggravated, and I might have made the one side unfixable. That's just the way it is. You know, things happen. But if you all would subscribe, that'd be great. Make a comment, give me a thumbs up. That'd be awesome. But until then, try to get something done. Thanks for watching.